Hello and welcome to part 3 of every spirit in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, where we're talking about all of the spirits' origins in chronological order because no one else is insane enough to try doing something like that. Today we'll be discussing and dissecting the 20 spirits that debuted in 1985. Super Mario Bros. Is the big talking point here, but we've got a couple of other interesting little relics to speak of. So let's just jump straight into it, shall we? Balloon Fighter is the main playable character of Balloon Fight. Isn't that unbelievable? Like other forgotten NES games, Balloon Fight has no story. You simply control the fighter as he uses a pair of balloons to fly about and pop the balloons carrying the vaguely bird-like creatures. There's also Balloon Trip, challenging the fighter in one of those let's see how far I can get before my ass is electrocuted type of games. Surprisingly, the game did get a sequel on the Game Boy, named Balloon Kid, as well as a few other cameos, references, and some other related games, like Tingle's Balloon Trip, and Nintendo Land's Balloon Trip Breeze. In Smash Ultimate, Balloon Fighter Spirit has you fight against 4 cyan villagers, referencing the Balloon Fighter's stout appearance and blue color scheme. The stage you fight him on is Balloon Fight, and the music that plays is the Balloon Fight medley. The conditions for the battle make it a timed battle, make the enemy favor up specials, and make the enemy have increased jump power. Villager's up special is based around Balloon Fight, and his increased jump power is a reference to Balloon Fighter's flying abilities. The timed battle condition may be a reference to how if you spend too much time in a phase in Balloon Fight, lightning will begin to spawn, in order to gently encourage you to hurry the fuck up. After being defeated, he can be equipped as a support-type spirit, with his effect being Jump Up, referencing his flying abilities once again. The fish is one of the main hazards in Balloon Fight, and is, of course, a giant fish. He'd hide in the water on multiple stages in Balloon Fight, and if the fighter got too close, he'd leap out of the water and try to take a bite of his booty. However, he'll also take a bite out of any enemies that are floating towards the water, so he can be used to pick off stragglers if you got enough skills. Like Balloon Fighter, the fish has appeared in multiple cameos referencing the original game, and notably appeared as a stage hazard in the Ice Climber Stage Summit in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, marking the only time in which a stage from one series features elements of a different one. In Smash Ultimate, Fish's Spirit Battle has you fight against a blue King Dedede, who is also a large, big-lipped opponent. The stage you fight him on is Balloon Fight, and the music that plays is the Balloon Fight medley. The conditions for the battle will make the enemy's neutral special have increased power, make the enemy favor neutral specials, and make it a timed battle. King Dedede's neutral special, Inhale, is a reference to how the fish would eat characters in Balloon Fight, while the timed battle condition is likely another reference to the lightning that can spawn in Balloon Fight. After being defeated, he can be equipped as a grab-type primary spirit, again likely referencing how the fish grabs and eats characters. The effect he provides is Electric Weakness, referencing how fish live in water and water conducts electricity. Condor is a large pterosaur-like creature who acts as the main villain of Ice Climber. It's this Condor who stole all of the Ice Climber's vegetables and stored them at the top of an iceberg. Popo and Nana must trek up the mountain, dealing with topies, polar bears, and little baby condors, in order to collect the veggies and grab the Condor, which then causes it to fly to another mountain with more veggies and repeat the cycle ad infinitum. Condor has since shown up with the rest of the Ice Climber crew in a handful of re-releases and various cameo appearances, and even carries the Ice Climbers in their Smash Bros. Entry animation. In Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, the Condor Spirit Battle has you fight against a Red Ridley and the Ice Climbers. The former represents the Condor, and the latter are of course the main playable characters of Ice Climber. The stage you fight them on is Summit from Ice Climber, and the music that plays is the Brawl remix of Ice Climber. The rules for the battle will make an ice floor spawn, referencing the icy mountain setting of Ice Climber. The conditions will make it a timed stamina battle, likely referencing how Ice Climber's bonus stages, where the Condor was encountered, all had a strict time limit. Also, while not explicitly stated, Ridley will try to avoid conflict and have a slight speed boost, referencing how the Condor would try to avoid the Ice Climbers in the original game by flying around erratically. After being defeated, he can be equipped as a support-type spirit, with his effect being Strong Wind Resist, likely another reference to its flying abilities. Eggplants are one of the 10 veggies that appear in the bonus stage of Ice Climber. Appearing as the first of the lot, they provide the least points at only 500 a pop. Likely also because they appeared first, they're used as a symbol to represent the Ice Climber's content in Smash Bros., such as the spirits. They also pop up on the Summit stage in their first 3D appearance, and otherwise have made a few more minor cameos referencing the original NES game. This spirit does not have a spirit battle. Instead, the only way to obtain it is to purchase it from Timmy and Tommy's store. After doing so, it can be equipped as a support-type spirit, likely referencing their status as point-bearing collectibles in the original Ice Climber. The effect they provide is Stamina Up, likely a generic reference to how food generally heals you in video games. Polar bears are one of the more troubling opponents that players can face in Ice Climber. If Popo and Nana take too long to climb the mountain, the polar bear would appear to, gently encourage them to hurry the fuck up. He would stomp the ground, forcing the screen to rise by 1 level, killing the climbers if they were at the lowest level. However, they could still be killed, and they won't spawn at all if the climbers have climbed enough of the mountain. Outside the usual NES re-releases and cameos, polar bears actually show up fairly often in Smash Bros., acting as enemies in Melee and Smash 4, and as a stage element in Brawl and Ultimate Summit stage. The Polar Bear Spirit Battle has you fight against a white Donkey Kong, a large white beast with a red piece of clothing. The stage you fight him on is Summit from Ice Climber, and the music that plays is the Melee remix of Ice Climber. The rules for the battle make earthquakes occur, and make freezy items spawn. The earthquakes are a reference to the polar bears lowering the stage with their stomps, whilst the freezy is likely a reference to the icy setting of Ice Climber. It could also be a reference to the sliding ice chunks that Topies are capable of using in order to fill in the gaps in the floor that the Ice Climbers can create. The conditions for the battle will give the enemy super armor and make it a stamina battle, likely referencing how in their Smash appearances, polar bears are generally depicted as very tough opponents that require a handful of hits in order to take down. It's also not stated, but Donkey Kong will have the Insta-Drop ability, which is likely another reference to the polar bear's stomping abilities. After being defeated, he can be equipped as a support-type spirit, with his effect being slow super armor, again likely referencing its Smash behavior where it's slower but also much stronger than other opponents. This spirit can also be obtained through summoning, using the cores of Beware and Freezy. Beware is a bear-like creature, whilst Freezy is a chunk of ice. Eggplant Man is an anthropomorphic, man-sized eggplant who appeared as an enemy in Wrecking Crew. They first showed up in Phase 2, wandering the demo site, climbing around ladders, and generally making a nuisance of themselves. They killed Mario on contact, but they could be trapped in oil drums that were dropped on top of them, or with the elusive Golden Hammer items. They returned in the oft-forgotten sequel, Wrecking Crew 98, as the first opponent that Mario faced, and made a handful of other cameos in other titles like NES Remix or WarioWare Twisted. My personal favorite cameo of theirs is in Chibi Robo, appearing as one of Captain Plankbeard's 3 treasures. Here he's named Kid Eggplant and turns Chibi into one himself, before granting him the Super Eggplant item which is required for a completely unrelated side quest. Eggplant Man Spirit Battle has you fight against 6 purple Warios, referencing Eggplant's purple color and tendency to attack in groups. The stage you fight him on is Wrecking Crew, with the music being the Wrecking Crew medley. The rules for the battle will make Golden Hammer items spawn, items that debuted in Wrecking Crew and that could have been used to kill the Eggplant Men. After being defeated, he can be equipped as a shield-type primary spirit, which doesn't seem to be a reference to anything in particular. Arthur is a brave and fearless knight who serves as the main protagonist of Capcom's Ghosts and Goblins series. His story begins when the evil Satan arrives and kidnaps his beloved princess Prin Prin. With his steel armor and an assortment of projectile weaponry, Arthur must fight through the demon realm, topple their leader Astaroth, and save the princess. he will return in all the future games, repeatedly saving his kingdom from a variety of different demonic threats, such as Lucifer and Samael, and has also popped up in various other Capcom games, including Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Project X Zone, and Street Fighter V. For his spirit battle, you fight against Mii's sword fighter and Ridley. The Mii is a reference to Arthur being a knight, whilst Ridley is a reference to Satan. The Mii will also wear Arthur's armor if you have the DLC for it downloaded. If you don't though, he'll instead wear the Black Knight's armor, referencing a fellow knight. The stage you fight them on is Spear Pillar, referencing Ghosts and Goblins' first stage, the Graveyard, and the music that plays is Attack, from Somabringer. The rules for the battle will make throwing type items spawn repeatedly, referencing how all of the main weapons of Ghosts and Goblins are thrown as projectiles. After being defeated, he can be equipped as a grab type primary spirit, and his effect is Item Throw Up. Both of these are likely also references to how all of Arthur's weapons are grabbed and thrown as projectiles. This spirit can also be obtained by having save data from Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection. Stack Up was the first of Rob's two different NES games, and the less conventional of the two. In this game, you control Professor Hector, Rob's creator, and must input commands to make Rob lift and stack blocks in certain sequences. There's also a memory mode, where you're able to give Rob a preset series of commands in order to do basically the same task, and the bingo mode, where you must press a row of 5 switches in order to make Rob perform individual commands. This bingo mode also features enemy glitches named Spike and Flipper, as well as a 2-player mode where you can control Hector's assistant, Vector. This spirit does not have a spirit battle. Instead, you must purchase it from Timmy and Tommy's. After purchasing him, he can be equipped as a support type spirit, with his effect being falling immunity, which may be a reference to how the goal of Stack Up is stacking up blocks while also making sure that none of them fall over. Gyromite is the second game to use Rob's NES talents, and the final one that was ever created. In this game, Hector must maneuver through his lab, using radishes to distract a horde of invading Smicks, and defusing all of the dynamite that these monsters have scattered around. Rob helps by charging up gyros and using them to press switches to move red and blue walls out of the way. A neat idea that dies very fast given how slowly Rob moves. There's also a 2-player mode, with the human tagging in and out as Hector, and the Game B mode, where Rob can help escort a sleepwalking Professor Vector to safety. For this spirit battle, you fight against 3 giant Robs, referencing his real-life peripheral counterpart. The stage you fight them on is Living Room, which again is likely a reference to Rob being a real-life peripheral that actually exists. The music that plays is Stack Up / Gyromite from the 2 Rob games. The conditions for the battle will make the enemy favor down specials, which for Rob has him spit out his gyros that he used for Gyromite. After being defeated, he can be equipped as a support type spirit, which may be a reference to how Rob's role in Gyromite was assisting Hector in trying to maneuver through his lab. His effect is back shield equipped, which doesn't seem to be a reference to anything, I don't think. Mach Rider is the main protagonist of the NES game of the same name. Set in the year 2112, Mach Rider's hometown has been eradicated by a horde of hostile alien invaders. In response, he hops onto his Mach bike in search of a new home, using side-mounted machine guns to mow down any nasties who try to get in his way. In the arcade sequel, Versus Mach Rider, we can see an image of a lady standing next to the Mach bike, which may be Mach Rider's true identity, though this has never been explicitly confirmed. As with other obscure NES characters, Mach Rider has shown up in the prerequisite handful of cameos, and it could be said that F-Zero acts as a spiritual successor to the game, given that they both have an emphasis on high-speed gameplay. Mach Rider Spirit Battle has you fight against Captain Falcon, who also pilots a high-speed vehicle and wears a red helmet. The stage you fight him on is Port Town Aero Dive, again referencing the high-speed racing of Mach Rider, as well as its setting being a dystopian futuristic city. The music that plays is Mach Rider, for fairly obvious reasons, I'm sure. The conditions for the battle will make the enemy have increased movement speed and make the enemy start the battle with a super scope. The increased move speed is a reference to the high-speed gameplay Mach Rider has, while the super scope is a reference to the machine guns built into the Mach Bike. After being defeated, he can be equipped as a shield-type primary spirit, with his effect being Speed Up, again referencing the high speed of Mach Rider. Goombas are nasty little mushrooms who debuted as the most common enemies of Super Mario Bros. Originally sided with the Mushroom Kingdom, they defected to Bowser's army when he invaded, and helped him kidnap Princess Peach. Luckily, they are extremely weak and can be beaten with a single stomp to the head, or a single fireball to the face. They've since reappeared in many more Mario games, with roles ranging from basic enemies to NPCs to major characters. Most notably, Mario Superstar Baseball was the first playable appearance of a generic Goomba. Goomba Spirit Battle has you fight against 5 tiny Donkey Kongs, referencing their small size, brown color, and tendency to appear in groups. The stage you fight them on is Mushroom Kingdom from Super Mario Bros., and the music that plays is the ground theme, also from Super Mario Bros. After being defeated, he can be equipped as a neutral-type primary spirit, which may be a reference to how certain Goombas, like Goombario or Goombella, assist Mario in his various adventures. His effect is Foot Attack Up, likely referencing how Goombas can be killed in a single stomp. This spirit can also be obtained through scanning the Goomba amiibo. The Super Mushroom is the very first power-up ever encountered in the Super Mario series. Debuting in Super Mario Bros., this power-up is as basic as it gets. Grabbing into Small Mario will transform him into Super Mario, granting him 1 extra hit point to survive against enemies. Following this first appearance, they've appeared as power-ups in plenty of other Mario titles, and also have several other uses in various games, like granting extra dice blocks in Mario Party, or granting a small burst of speed in Mario Kart. There are also other various power-up mushrooms, such as the Rock Mushroom, the Propeller Mushroom, and their polar opposite, the Poison Mushroom. This spirit doesn't have a spirit battle. Instead, the only way to obtain it is to purchase it from Timmy and Tommy's. After doing so, it can be equipped as a support spirit, likely referencing how it's a support power-up item. The effect it provides is stats up after eating, referencing how it's an edible power-up that increases Mario's strengths upon consumption. Fire Flowers are the second major power-up encountered in Super Mario Bros. If collected, Mario will become Fire Mario, letting him toss fireballs to roast any enemy in front of him. Some enemies are invulnerable, but they're somewhat scarce, and even Bowser is able to be cooked with Mario's fire. Like the Super Mushroom, the Fire Flower has appeared many times since, often providing more points and stronger attacks than the Mushroom, and set the stage for other flower powers, such as the Gold Flower, the Cloud Flower, and its polar opposite, the Ice Flower. This spirit also does not have a spirit battle. Instead, you must also purchase it from Timmy and Tommy's shop. After doing so, it can be equipped as a support-type spirit, likely a reference to how it's also a power-up item. The effect it provides is Fire Flower Equipped, which... I don't really need to explain that, do I? I would hope not. I have faith in your intellectual faculties, my friends. Koopa Troopas are some of the basic foot soldiers in Bowser's army, first seen in Super Mario Bros. These little turtles come in several varieties. There's green Koopas who walk off of cliffs if they reach them, and the red Koopas who are smart enough to not welcome Death's sweet embrace. There's also Paratroopas, flying Koopas who move either vertically or horizontally depending on their color, or occasionally just bounce across the ground. Like Goombas, Koopas show up in basically every Mario game as very slightly harder enemies to deal with also several playable appearances and a handful of specific named Koopa characters assisting Mario in his various adventures. Most notably, there's Super Mario Kart, which was the very first playable appearance of a generic Koopa. Koopa Troopa Spirit Battle has you fight against Squirtle, who is also a green turtle. The stage you fight him on is Golden Plains from New Super Mario Bros. 2, which also featured Koopas. Similarly, the music is the main theme from New Super Mario Bros., which again also featured Koopas. The rules for the battle make the enemy's defense increase, and make green shell items appear very frequently. The increased defense is a reference to how Koopas generally take 2 hits to kill, with the first hit merely making them recoil into their shell. The green shell items are a reference to how Koopas that curl into their shells can then be chucked around as items in order to take out other foes. After being defeated, he can be equipped as a support-type spirit, possibly referencing how Koopas work under Bowser as minions, or referencing the various Koopa characters who assist Mario in his adventures. The effect they provide is green shell equipped, again referencing how the Koopa shells can be used as weapons. This spirit can also be obtained by scanning the Koopa Troopa amiibo. Superstars are the most elusive power-up in Super Mario Bros., and the most valuable. When collected, Mario will become invincible, letting him destroy any enemy on contact and run a little bit faster. However, he can still fall down pits and into lava, and it only lasts for a couple of seconds, so do your best to make the most of this thing. Like the other 2 power-ups, the Superstar has appeared in many more games, often offering the most points and strongest abilities of the 3. There are also several functionally similar items, like the Rainbow Star, and similar looking but distinct items, like the Power Stars. Superstar Spirit Battle has you fight against Rosalina and Luma, who are also associated with space and stars. The stage you fight them on is Peach's Castle, and the music is the main theme from Super Mario 64. Both of these are likely a reference to the Power Stars, similar yet functionally distinct items from the Superstar. The rules for the battle will increase the opponent's attack power, grant them temporary invincibility, and make Superstar items spawn repeatedly. The increased attack power is a reference to the star's invincibility, as is the temporary invincibility, obviously. The conditions for the battle will make all fighters easy to launch, and make the enemy's final smash meter charge quickly. The easy to launch fighters are likely another reference to the star's invincibility, while Rosalina's final smash has her summon a Grand Star, again a functionally distinct yet very similar item to the Superstars. After being defeated, it can be equipped as a support-type spirit, since it's a power-up item, and its effect is First Strike Advantage, which turns you invincible if you land the first hit of the battle, again a reference to the star's invincibility. Toad is a member of a species of friendly, mushroom-adjacent fellows, also named Toads, who helps Mario on his various adventures. While Toads as a species were first seen in Super Mario Bros., none of them were specifically specified as the Toad. In Super Mario USA, though, Toad would be singled out as a specific character, helping Mario, Luigi, and Peach in saving Subcon from Wart. Since then, he's made many more appearances, both major and minor, alongside several additional Toads, who may be Toad himself but have not been confirmed due to their very similar appearances and functions. For this spirit battle, you fight against a Mii Brawler, customized to resemble Toad. The stage you fight him on is Princess Peach's Castle, referencing how he's often established as one of Peach's mushroom retainers. The music that plays is Plucky Past Beginnings from Captain Toad, referencing another distinct Toad character. The rules for the battle will make mushroom items spawn, referencing Toad's relation to mushrooms. The conditions for the battle will make the enemy favor side special attacks, which for the Mii Brawler is his grabbing suplex move. This might be a reference to Toad's appearance in Mario 2, where he's established to have the best plucking abilities of any character, allowing him to grab and toss items slightly faster than the others. After being defeated, he can be equipped as a grab-type primary spirit, again likely referencing his plucking abilities in Mario 2. While he does not have an effect, he is capable of being enhanced into Captain Toad from Super Mario Galaxy after you get him to level 99. This spirit can also be obtained through scanning the Toad amiibo. Bloopers are cute little squid creatures who debuted in Super Mario Bros. Water levels. They swim around in a very erratic and hard to predict pattern, making for a very annoying foe to avoid. They are made even worse in the Lost levels, where they can fly outside of water somehow, making them even tougher to deal with. Like other classic Mario enemies, they've made many more appearances in plenty of other Mario games. Most notably are their 4 playable appearances, beginning in Mario Party 8 and including Mario Super Sluggers, Mario Tennis Aces, and Dr. Mario World. Blooper Spirit Battle has you fight against 3 tiny Inklings, who are of course part squid. The stage you fight them on is Delfino Plaza from Super Mario Sunshine, which was not only Blooper's first 3D appearance, but is also of course a stage that is covered in water. The music for the battle is the underwater theme from Super Mario Bros., which is where you would first encounter the bloopers. The rules for the battle will reduce the gravity, likely a reference to the floaty underwater physics that Mario Bros. Had. The conditions for the battle will make it a timed battle and make the enemy avoid conflict. The enemy avoiding conflict is likely a reference to the erratic movement pattern that the bloopers have, whilst the timed battle may be a reference to how in Super Mario Bros. All of the stages had a very strict time limits. After being defeated, he can be equipped as a shield-type primary spirit, with their effect being weight down, another reference to the floaty underwater levels that they inhabited. Hammer Bros are elite members of the Koopa Troop, and one of the toughest enemies in Super Mario Bros. These little jerks like to toss hammers in a very high arc, making them extremely hard to avoid. They can also jump to reach higher platforms, and as their name implies, they tend to appear as a group deal. They've shown up in a large number of other Mario games, and have a number of different variants, namely the Boomerang Bros, the Fire Bros, the Ice Bros, and the Sledge Bros. Their first playable appearance was alongside Blooper in Mario Party 8. For this spirit battle, you fight against a yellow Yoshi, a reptile with yellow skin. The stage you fight him on is Golden Plains from New Super Mario Bros. 2, a game that did feature the Hammer Brothers. The music that plays is the ground theme from Super Mario Bros. 3, which may be a reference to how Hammer Brothers appeared fairly prominently as recurring blockades that showed up on the world maps. The rules for the battle make assist trophy enemies spawn, specifically Hammer Bro, which may be a reference to how the bros often appeared in pairs. The conditions for the battle make the enemy favor up specials, which will make Yoshi repeatedly toss an egg into the air, referencing the hammers that the Hammer Bros throw in a very similar arc. After being defeated, Hammer Bro can be equipped as a grab-type primary spirit, likely referencing the fact that he grabs and throws hammers. His effect is Jump Up, possibly referencing his random jumping to get to higher platforms. Lakitu and Spiny are a pair of high-ranking Koopa creatures who first appeared in Super Mario Bros. Lakitu soars high above Mario on a cloud, though he can be stomped if Mario can somehow reach him. From there, he carpet bombs Mario with Spiny eggs, which will unfurl into Spinies, who cannot be stomped due to their spikes. While Spinies have made many different appearances, sometimes even without Lakitus, the Lakitus have been far more prominent, notably recording the events of Mario 64 and acting as referees in various car races and sports games. They also made their playable debut in Tetris Attack, which is a very odd way to debut that sort of thing, but okay. Lakitu and Spiny Spirit Battle has you fight against Iggy and 8 tiny Bowsers. Iggy represents Lakitu, since he wears glasses and rides around in a white, rounded flying machine. The Bowsers, meanwhile, are meant to represent a mob of small red Spinies. The stage you fight them on is Mushroom Kingdom from their debut game, and the music that plays is the ground theme, also from their debut game. After being defeated, they can be equipped as a grab-type primary spirit, likely referencing how Lakitu grabs and tosses Spinies down on Mario's head. The effect they provide is weight down, likely referencing Lakitu flying around on his cloud. Bullet Bills are angry-looking artillery who debuted in Super Mario Bros. Fired out of large cannons called Bill Blasters, these large bullets slowly fly straight ahead, hurting Mario upon contact. However, he is able to jump on top of them to knock them out of the sky, which actually makes them pretty ineffective as far as bullets go. They've shown up in several other Mario games, sometimes sporting homing abilities and other times having variants, such as Bullet Bills, King Bills, and Torpedo Teds. And while they've never been playable themselves, they have popped up as items in a number of different games, including Mario Kart and Mario Party. Bullet Bill is represented by 4 black Captain Falcons, referencing Bill's color and tendency to be shot in large groups. The stage you fight them on is Mushroom Kingdom, from their debut game. The music that plays is the airship theme from Mario 3, referencing how Bullet Bills feature very prominently in the game's airship levels. The rules for the battle will make an item tidal wave occur and make Bullet Bill items spawn repeatedly. The Bullet Bill items are fairly obvious, while the item tidal waves are likely another reference to how Bullet Bills tend to be shot in large masses. After being defeated, he can be equipped as an attack-type primary spirit, and while they do not have an effect, they can be enhanced into a Bonsai Bill from Super Mario World. And that's all of the spirits introduced in 1985. Thanks very much for watching, and tune in next time where we'll talk about all of the spirits that debuted in 1986. For reference's sake, that was the debut year for Metroid, Castlevania, Dragon Quest, The Legend of Zelda, and Kid Icarus. So, oh boy, that's gonna be a lot of shit to talk about.